The New York Islanders' disappointing season is finally over, which means a critical offseason for the future of the franchise has officially begun. And the first concern for the New York Islanders has to be, what are they going to do with restricted free agent Noah Dobson? On this episode of Islanders Digest, we're going to break it down. But before we get into that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be one of our first 100 subscribers. Yes, the Islanders season is over, but this offseason is going to be one of the most eventful off seasons for the Islanders in a long time, and you're not going to want to miss it. So be sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates on this offseason as we begin to discuss what the Islanders are going to do. And especially with recent signings with other teams, it is clear that the first thing the Islanders are going to have to take care of is what to do with restricted free agent Noah Dobson. There have already been reports dubbing this offseason as the summer of offer sheets. And while we don't know whether or not other teams are going to be using offer sheets yet, one target, if you are going to target anyone, why not target Noah Dobson? It is just another reason why the Islanders, if they're going to want to make changes this offseason, they're going to want to take care of this first. So they really understand how much money they have to work with and really what the core of this team looks like in the future. Because when you're making a decision on Noah Dobson, you're really deciding whether or not he is a part of this core. It is a huge decision. It is a decision that Noah Dobson has made very difficult with his play this season, and making it even more difficult. Other teams are offering massive contracts to defensemen that are going to make this even more complicated. I do not envy Lou Lamoriello's decision. Assuming he is even the GM to make this decision, it is not going to be an easy choice, and we're going to really break down what the Islanders' options are. Obviously, the first option is extending Noah Dobson, giving him a contract extension. And this is not going to be simple. Recently, the Winnipeg Jets signed Neil Pionk to a contract for 6 years worth $7 million per year, a massive contract for a player who really is not as talented as Noah Dobson. And really, people were talking about how much is Noah Dobson going to cost. Stefan Rosner tweeted that he's thinking it's going to cost at least 8 times 8. And I agree with him. And this is the number I've been talking about all season long. And at points, I've talked about it on the channel, and people have said I'm crazy for saying Noah Dobson is going to make $8 million after this season. And the truth is, as we've been talking about, the salary cap is going up. And as a result, these defensemen who can put up points, are going to get raises. And Noah Dobson is definitely a player who is going to get a raise, because as we talked about with offer sheets, if the Islanders are not willing to pay up, I'm not saying that Noah Dobson would sign an offer sheet, but another team would definitely be willing to pay him, especially on the seasons he's had in the past. We're going to really compare how Noah Dobson compares to Neil Pionk to get an idea of what this contract is going to cost. Another defenseman we are going to talk up who signed an even more extensive contract is Chychrun from the Washington Capitals, an 8 times $9 million extension. And this also puts more pressure on the Islanders to make a big move. Neil Pionk and Chychrun were the two big defensemen that were available, at least available as free agents this offseason. And them getting this much money not only gives Noah Dobson a better example of how much he should make and gives him more power in negotiations, but also it makes the Islanders' decision more complicated, because in talks, while I wasn't really too high on Neil Pionk or Chychrun. They were potential replacements if the Islanders decided to go in another direction with Noah Dobson. They are no longer available, and as a result, this just puts more pressure on the Islanders to get something done with Noah Dobson or get a trade done. And that is the other option we're going to talk about. But first, I really want to break down Noah Dobson's numbers. It's been a really interesting season, and really compare him to these defensemen to understand why Noah Dobson likely will be getting $8 million or more on his next contract in an 8-year deal if it is with the Islanders. This season has not been great for Noah Dobson. Only 39 points, one of his lowest totals since he broke out in the 2021-2022 season. He did score 10 goals, but his assists were way down, especially compared to his season the year before when he put up 70 points. Now, a lot went wrong for the Islanders this season. There were a lot of issues with this team, and one of them definitely was Noah Dobson not playing to the level that we know he can. Noah Dobson really struggled this season, as after last season, Noah Dobson was really looking like a defenseman that was going to become the Islanders' top defenseman, a number 1 defenseman like he was drafted to be. And it was really looking like it was going to be an easy decision for the Islanders to just hand Noah Dobson a $10 million contract. And early on, he did not play well, and he really played himself away from making a lot more money this offseason. This drop in his production is very concerning, and that's why a lot of Islander fans are calling for the Islanders to trade him. One stat that really caught my attention looking at his numbers between the 2 years is how many more giveaways Noah Dobson had this season. 108 as opposed to last season, 62. He played 8 less games this season, and he gave the puck over 50 more times. One question I really have with Noah Dobson is how much of this was just him perhaps trying to do too much after having a season where he became the Islanders' #1 defenseman with Pelech and Pollock injured for so much time. Noah Dobson really held the team together while they're out. It seemed like perhaps he came to this season trying to do too much, and that is definitely something the Islanders are going to have to figure out, whether or not the Noah Dobson they got this season is the Noah Dobson we have, or whether or not he can really go back and play the way he did the previous year and maybe combine what he learned this season with what was working for him so well last season. Because unlike some of the players we're going to talk about that are comparables to Noah Dobson is 25. Yes, he dropped from last season. He put up way more points last year, but none of this is due to age. None of it is really he was injured this season, but I don't think his poor play was really due to injury either. I think this is a player who still has all the tool sets that made things work, but it just was not working for him. And now we're going to compare him to Neil Pionk, which is why Noah Dobson is going to make so much money. If you look at the points that Neil Pionk has, his year, this year, 39 points, is the exact same that Noah Dobson had. And for Neil Pionk, he doesn't really have any season except for 2019-2020, where he put up 45 points for the Winnipeg Jets, where he really had any better offense. And even then, Noah Dobson has still completely outperformed Neil Pionk on offense. And now I'm sure a lot of Islander fans right now are calling out, but Noah Dobson struggles on defense. Yes, Noah Dobson has not been good in the Islanders' defensive zone this season. But you know what? Neil Pionk has also had a lot of struggles on defense. Yes, his plus minus this year is really solid at 21, but is also a Winnipeg Jets team that is the #1 team in the NHL. If you look 2 seasons ago, back when Neil Pionk was 27, so still older than Noah Dobson, he had a -12 season. So this is not a defenseman who's been playing dominant. And if you look at a lot of comments about the contract for Neil Pionk, a lot of Jets fans are concerned about Neil Pionk's defensive play. And if you look at the time on ice, Noah Dobson actually plays more minutes per game than Neil Pionk. So if a player like Neil Pionk is making that money at an age where he is 29, Noah Dobson at 25 is definitely going to be able to get at least an 8x8 contract. He's a better player than Neil Pionk, and that's just what defensemen make this season. Now here we're also going to look at Jakob Chychrun's numbers. Jakob Chychrun is also making now $9 million for the next 8 seasons, a massive contract. And you'll see here his points are also not as high as Noah Dobson's. And you might be wondering, well, why is he going to make that much money then? And the big answer is he scored 20 goals this season. Goals come at a premium in the NHL, but still, offense in general comes at a premium, and Noah Dobson has provided so much offense. And it's also why I really think that the Islanders' best move is to re-sign Noah Dobson, especially looking at how much money these players are making who really have not performed as well as Noah Dobson. I mean, Jakob Chychrun, if you look at his games played, yes, he's been moved twice, but this is a player who has been injured a lot more than Noah Dobson has. He's a player who is a similar age at 26, and that is why I think that contract is so comparable. If the Islanders can get Noah Dobson at 8.5, they definitely should sign that contract, because the truth is, this is how much an offensive defenseman costs these days in the NHL. And yes, Jakob Chychrun has been pretty good defensively for the Capitals this season, but in the past, playing for Ottawa, he's also really struggled defensively, which really shows that I know a lot of people are going to complain about Noah Dobson, really complain about his defensive production, but this is the cost of this type of player. And the big takeaway with how much money these 2 free agents have made, but before even hitting the market, is defensemen are really hard to find in the NHL. And this post by Matt on Twitter really speaks about it really well. If you do trade Noah Dobson, you have to get something incredible back, or you have to sign into that $8+ million contract, because this is the type of player that does not grow on trees. You're not going to find another Noah Dobson. If you draft a player, even if it is in the top 10, and we're going to talk about really soon in the next few videos what I want the Islanders to draft, and there are a couple interesting defensemen that are available this draft. You would be lucky if one of those defensemen becomes a player with the skill on the level of Noah Dobson. That is how good of a player Noah Dobson is. Even if you're drafting in the top 7, you get a 7th overall pick, the chances are that defenseman is not going to be better than Noah Dobson. This is a player that you can't trade for draft picks. You really can't even trade him for prospects. I know Noah Dobson's play has been frustrating, but even making this video, the more I talk about how much these defensemen are making and how hard it would be to find another defenseman that can play offense at the level of Noah Dobson. I mean, we've seen it on the Islanders, a team that does not put up a lot of offense. Last season, he had 70 points, and you know what? 50 of those points were even strength. This is a player that produces on an Islanders team that really struggle. I mean, this year Barzal was missing. I think the Islanders have to re-sign Noah Dobson. It has to be a focus, and hopefully they can get it done. And if not, they have to trade him for maximum value, because you don't want to worry about offer sheets coming your way. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments, do you think the Islanders should re-sign Noah Dobson, or do you want to see him get traded? And if you do want to see him get traded, what are you expecting to get in return for a player like Noah Dobson? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Patrick Nilan. This is Islanders Digest. Let's go Islanders.